now.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Pulse Roadmap recording. As you can see, you're only seeing two of us on here right now. It's the Tom and Tamara show again. We may get Jen showing up after a phone call that may or may not be short. So if she joins back in, we will just add her into the mix and pick it up from there. Unfortunately, Adam had a work escalation, so he's off the ticket for today. So we're going to be dealing not with the techie, geeky things that he does for admin stuff. We're going to be focusing mainly on more of the end user type features that you would see for this particular time. As usual, there are three categories that we deal with primarily. Let me do a real quick check here. Up four, actually. We have in development, which means the information is, or the feature is being worked on at Microsoft, and it's in the process of getting to the point where they can start rolling it out. Rolling out means that it has started to work its way through targeted release, standard releases, and it will be coming to your tenants soon. May not be there yet, but eventually you'll get to launch status, which is the third one, and that's everybody should have it now, provided you have the right client. So if you're like GCC or DoD, it may not be a feature for your group, but overall it's rolled out and launched to everybody who should be getting it. And then the very last category is canceled, and those are ones where usually there's a duplicate roadmap entry, and they're just telling you they've deleted the one, and it's actually part of a different one. So rarely do you get one that's not actually out there for use anymore. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with the in development. Tamara, would you like to kick that off?
Sure, I'll kick it off with a couple things. Outlook for Windows, every meeting online. So you can update your settings to make every meeting you create a Teams meeting by default. So you no longer have to remember to click the Teams meeting icon to turn it into an online meeting.
Which is a good thing, because right now that's the only kind of meetings you're probably having.
With people working in different locations, yes.
Exactly.
Microsoft Teams, the presenter view in Teams meetings. The presenters can now view the slide notes and upcoming slides, helping the presenters keep the meeting on track, discuss meeting notes as needed, and navigate to meeting slides quickly. In Forms, we've got email receipts and download response options now available, which means in the form settings, the designers can now enable the function for respondents within their organization to get an email confirmation that they've completed the form. So this is outside of the thank you screen. This is in addition to that. Within the email, there will be a link to the responses to the form. And the function also enables respondents both within and outside of your organization to download and thereby print the responses to your form on the thank you page of the form after they submit the form, of course. So first the data has to be submitted and then they can download it.
Yeah.
And then one last thing I wanted to cover in development, which I think is going to drive me crazy, is live reactions in Teams meetings, meaning while the meeting is going on, people can click the reaction button so they can like, they can love, they can be sad, they can be angry about what's going on in the meeting. And I think just all that going on in a meeting is going to be very distracting, especially for those people who suffer from ADD. It'd be like a little shiny thing in the sky. So I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, at least they hopefully won't have the poop emoji on there, and that would really be bad. Trying to present something, little poop emojis come up here. So a couple things that I've seen out there in SharePoint, there's an updated image tag or updated tag column for images. So apparently when you update an image, it actually does some tagging of that image that improves Microsoft search results, things like that. Now with this new update, people are going to be able to manually add or remove tags from this column using free-form text or from the managed metadata service, your company taxonomy. Additionally, and this is even better, we'll be designing a new flow trigger in Power Automate that will allow programmable actions based on those tags. So if somebody goes out and tags an image as, corporate or something like that, you may be able to say, hey, we just had a new item come in. There's a corporate tag on it. Send a notice to your strategic communication groups or something to check and make sure that that's still legit. So I think that's kind of a cool way to be working with images now and give you a little bit more ability to do some stuff with those. Outlook for iOS. So if you're using Outlook on your phone, you're now going to have option formats or format options for signatures. So you'll see the text box on your mobile email. It will support HTML content if you cut and paste from another source, provide bold, italics, underline, links, all those kind of things. So again, if you're doing most of your work within your iPhone, you're gonna have a little bit more ability to make things actually look right without having to go back over to Outlook for the client or Outlook for the web to do all your work there and have it filter back down. Actually, that's pretty much, I think, everything that I had flagged. Is there anything else that you see, Tamara, that you want to mention before we move on to rolling out?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, with that, we will move to rolling out. Again, these are things that are in the process of making out, and making it out to everybody. You may see or not see them in your tenant until they finally get to launch. First couple of things that I found that are SharePoint related. So we have active time spent reports on SharePoint site usage. So this is really cool in the fact that you're going to be able to get aggregated data on the amount of time that users spend on your intranet sites. It's one thing to say, hey, I had 500 people on the site. It's another thing to say, and they stayed for 15 seconds. You're now going to be able to get some of that information, which is really good because site usage analytics has always been kind of a weak spot in SharePoint. It sounds like they're making a lot more changes to that, which will be cool. SharePoint, improved SharePoint page news publishing experience. I think we've talked about this in the past, but basically when you publish a new page, there's going to be a pre-publish panel that will allow the authors to supply missing required properties before they publish the page. So you're not going to have pages out there that have category metadata tags and stuff like that that are missing. They don't show up where you're supposed to. If that's a required field, you're going to have to do it before you can actually do the publishing, which I think is a really good thing. And the very last thing, again, something that we've talked about before, and I kept thinking that someday this will show up, but it seems like it's always been delayed. And that is there's going to be updates to site header options. So you're going to have custom branding options for new header configurations, new minimal and extended header layouts, which I think are really cool to, get some of that big real estate you have up at the top narrowed down so you have more room for content underneath it. It says, additionally, the default site header for new SharePoint sites will be updated to the compact header instead of the standard header for all sites created after the updates launch. So again, if you are creating a new site and you go out to the home page, you go, what happened to my header? Well, your header is now compact. You can change it, but again, they're trying to make it to where you are actually able to see content and not have stuff start to fall below the scroll, have it be above the scroll so it's easier to get that information and content out to everybody. So Tamara, you want to pick up a few here?
Sure. Microsoft To Do, plan your day better with urgent and important task suggestions in My Day. So Microsoft To Do has a list called My Day where users can add tasks that they want to focus on today. So Microsoft is introducing a new section in the suggestions pane of the My Day list where we will surface up some urgent and important tasks to help users plan their day better. So using a little bit of that AI stuff to manage your tasks for you. Also, the Department of Defense is getting a little love with Microsoft Teams inline message translation. With a simple click, people who speak different languages can fluidly communicate with one another by translating posts in channels and chats. Inline message translation will ensure that every worker in the team has a voice and facilitate global collaboration. This also leads into plain language and writing your chats and posts in plain language so that they can be translated and not use a lot of imagery in your language, which doesn't get translated very well. Also in Office 365, there's Translate in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So that's coming for the Department of Defense customers again. And then Outlook on the web, text predictions in English now supported worldwide. Microsoft is extending support to the text predictions in Outlook on the web. Now text predictions will be available in English for customers worldwide. So that's
nice.
rolling out, should have rolled out in November. So you may be seeing that in your tenant now.
Anything else?
No, that's it. I think it's time to move on to launched.
And why don't you go ahead and kick us off on the launch side?
Sure. In Outlook for the iOS, LinkedIn and Microsoft 365 account connections. So securely connect your LinkedIn account with your Microsoft account to see information from LinkedIn profiles directly in the people card in Outlook for iOS.
Very nice. I mean, the thing, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Of course, I had to cough there just about the time that you threw it over to me. And that'll probably be our little thumbnail on the image, me coughing. So the thing with launch is a lot of times we've discussed these multiple times. And this is just kind of a thing of, hey, heads up, we've talked about this in the past, you should now have it in your tenants. So keeping that in mind, without going into great detail on a lot of these items, OneDrive, the Add to OneDrive feature means that you can take shared folders that have been shared with you, obviously, and you can now pull those over into OneDrive and store them in your, my favorites content and stuff like that. So instead of having to figure out, okay, that data was shared from where and where do I go to find it? And do I have it bookmarked somewhere? You can do everything you need from your OneDrive client, and you'll have all those shared folders that makes it look like it actually resides in your OneDrive, even though it's pointing to wherever it might be. Think of it as like a shortcut to a file share somewhere. So that should be out there in your system right now. Another feature that I saw rolled out, because I like this, we use it, and this has always been kind of a pain point for us. I'm curious to see how it plays out. And that is when you're using Microsoft Planner to sync your Message Center posts to a planner. Usually what they do is if they make an update to one feature coming out, they'll put it out there in the Message Center. It'll come across to Planner, but it comes across as a new entry. And in the title, they have the word updated, bracketed. So you have to look at that. You have to figure out where was the original one, what did you do, how did you, assign it or put whatever tags in there, and then bring that up to the new one, delete the old one. Well, now they're actually going to be synchronizing those. And when it comes across, it's going to actually update that information. And so I'm thinking that's a really cool thing. I'm wondering though if it's going to say, "Up, here's the new item. Up, there was the old one. Toss it," and we lose any of the information we might have put out there. Yeah, that could be a little tricky, but I'm looking forward to what they're doing there. If you haven't played with the Sync Message Center post to Planner options, if you go out to your admin center and you look at messages out there, I highly recommend that you do it because it's a great way to keep track of what's going on. Couple other things before I throw it back to Tamara. Microsoft Teams pinned posts. I tried to do a 1-minute Office magic tip on this the other day, and it really didn't work the way I expected it to. So in a Microsoft Teams channel, you can take a post and pin it. And in my way of thinking, that means that in the channel, as you're scrolling through messages, this thing sits at the top of the list and it's a fixed entry. and you can scroll up and down, but it's not going to move. Well, actually what it's doing is it's pinning it in the channel information pane that you can access over on the right-hand side with a little question mark area there, or exclamation point, whatever it is. But you actually have to go out there to see what posts are pinned. It's not actually pinned in the physical channel itself for you to see it. There is a little icon there, but again, it's just going to float up and down as you scroll up and down. I'm not terribly thrilled with that feature, the way they implemented it, because I don't think most people are going to be clicking on the information pane for the channel to see information on what's pinned. It's just not, in my way of thinking, a natural thing to do. So
I'm going to keep using saved posts.
yeah, that's probably best. I mean, the pin channel was nice in the fact that you could say, hey, I want everybody to see there's donuts in the, break room or something. You can pin that, but unless the person is actually showing the channel information pane on the right-hand side, they're not going to see it. So maybe they'll make a change later on, but right now it is what it is. And then finally, this has been out there for a while. In SharePoint, you can set default page templates. So if you've got a site where you do certain kind of page publishing, it should follow a certain format. You can put that page out there, define it as the default template. So every time you create a new page, that layout is going to show up for you and you don't have to sit there and make all your changes. I do that for an internal version of 1 Minute Office Magic that I do that has things laid out the way I would normally have it. So I just click new page, that comes up. It's got some of the standard header trailer information I need, and I can just go on with the actual content. So that's a cool thing. Next, my dear.
So Microsoft Teams has AI-based noise suppression now. So if you go to your profile picture in the upper right-hand corner and go to settings, and then on the settings, you choose device, halfway down the page, you can choose noise suppression, and your choices are default, low, and high. Now, high, I saw a demonstration of somebody doing this, and they actually had a bag of potato chips in their webcam frame, and they were rustling the bag of potato chips, and you could not hear it because it was not somebody speaking.
Wow.
So the AI actually looks for speech, and the speech is all that it lets go over the microphone. However, it is a real killer on the usage on your computer, so it can really slow some things down. So be aware of that. But if you are in a nosy environment, or nosy now,
What you doing? What you
oh,
doing?
I
What you
can't
doing?
say
What you
it.
doing?
I can't say it. Noisy environment. Like if you have pets at home and their nails are clicking on the floor when you're trying to do a webcast.
Stella's.
Yep. Then you can use this noise suppression and they'll only hear your voice.
That is cool.
Outlook Find Time require attendees verification and locking poll for attendees. By enabling these new options, attendees of the poll can be required to authenticate themselves before voting. Attendees can also be prevented from adding, removing, or editing other attendees, and can additionally be prevented from suggesting new time options. So that launched in November.
Cool.
And then set the presence duration. This is out. Team users will have the ability to change their presence for a specific period of time. And I like to put like I'm going to lunch and then set it for an hour. And that status will be there for an hour and then it'll roll off and be blank again. So I find that very helpful.
This was a big thing for us because by default, if you didn't make any moves on Teams, you would go into an away status after 5 minutes.
Right.
People are like, I'm not away, I'm still here. I just wasn't doing anything in Teams. Where now you can say, hey, I'm available or I'm busy, and you can do the duration, and the duration can be 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, today, or a custom date. And it's going to stay in that duration until such time as either you change it or that duration finishes and then it goes back to the default. So that's a really cool thing where I'm using it right now and I really like it.
Yeah, and Together mode came out and large gallery view.
Oh, cool.
So It now presents up to 49 people, 49 participants at a time, plus yourself in the lower right-hand corner. So that's for 50 total. The together mode puts you all in the same background, and Microsoft is coming up with different backgrounds to use to help fight meeting fatigue.
Yeah, it was interesting because at Ignite, they talked about the concept of meeting fatigue, and they said, well, it's nice that everybody can have their own backgrounds. That creates a lot of mental overhead for people to try to focus on a person with all the other stuff going on in the background. Where together mode, it's like, guess what? You're going to lose your background because you're all going to look like you're sitting in stadiums or, conference room or something like that. But they've actually shown with like brain scans that the amount of brain power that you have to use to keep track of everything goes down dramatically when you're using something like together mode. So I thought that was really cool.
Just remember though, if you're doing a presentation, together mode is not your thing.
True. One other thing that I have, and then that would be it for me, is SharePoint has something now called a My Feed web part. So you can use this, say, on an intranet homepage or something like that. And what it does is it shows a mix of content from across 365 based on what's likely to be most relevant to the current user at any given time. So what I see in the My Feed web part, if I put it on a site, is going to be completely different than what Tamara sees out there. But I think that's really cool that, again, they're using that AI, machine learning type thing to say, hey, you've been working on these projects. Here's a couple things related to that project that you might want to see. And it gives you the ability to have that intranet homepage experience that is much more customized to the actual user instead of a one size fits all. And we know that one size doesn't fit all. So I think that's a good thing.
Great.
Anything else you want to touch on?
No, I'm good for launched.
Okay.
Do you want to cover canceled?
Sure, I'll run through those. God, I actually got to run the meeting this time. This is cool. So we have 3 canceled items, and all of them are duplicates that have been removed, and they're being covered under the other number. One is Microsoft Project for the web, export to Excel. That's a feature that is still out there. It's just the one for this particular roadmap item is being deleted because it's a dupe. Microsoft Project, receive email notifications. That one is going to be out there to switch on to receive notifications about changes to your projects. And wait for it, Microsoft Project deploy to different environments. And this is going to have more flexibility on how to deploy project to different areas. Again, they had a couple entries out there, so they just deleted one of them. So somebody must have discovered Microsoft Project somewhere in the roadmap and figured out that there were duplicates out there. So those are the only 3 canceled items that we have this time.
Great.
And with that, we still don't have Jennifer. So I guess it was just the Tom and Tamara show this time. So as always, we had a good time. You will not see Tom nor Tamara next week because we will be on vacation. So hopefully you'll see Jennifer and or Adam and or somebody. We'll leave that to them. We won't care. But we will definitely see you the week after that, which will be the week of Christmas. We'll try to get a webcast in there, hopefully sometime, not on Thursday, because that's Christmas Eve and most of us will have that off. But we'll try to get something in there and keep you all up to date on what's happening. And with that, I hope you have a great day, a great rest of your week, and hope you have some time to relax as the Christmas holidays are coming up on you.
Great. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye, everyone.